What's up everyone, it's your girl Brain Shanae, and today this is my stop for the one and only Legendborn book tour. And as you all know, or as you all must know, Legendborn is by Tracy Deonn, and it's going to be coming out September 15th, so you still have time to pre-order it, so go ahead and do that right now. Anywho, for my stop on this amazing book tour, what I'm going to be pretty much doing for this video for you is providing you passages that I found very interesting, that came to me in my heart when I started reading it. I was very strategic on the ones that I chosen, that I read like throughout the entire book, that I had over like 60, 70 quotes, passages that I liked throughout the book. But so what I did was I chose the ones at the beginning of the book where we get to know more about Bree, or Brianna, who is the main character in Legendborn. And so I wanted to do that because we get to see Bree from the beginning and how she transforms throughout the book. I didn't do quotes. I did mostly passages that, like I said, at the beginning of the book towards the middle. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. Also my own reflections about the book and what I thought about it. But anywho, let's see. So I have this, let me see. I'm trying to get all my passages in the row so I can provide these, because these are so amazing things that I found interesting throughout the book. So literally starting with the prologue, it says, one of the ones, the passages that I liked, it says, "I don't cry for my mother's death or for myself. I cry because these strangers in the hospital, the nurse, the doctor, the police officer, don't know my mother, and yet they were closest to her when she died. And when your people die, you have to listen to strangers speak your nightmare into existence." And I think that is very accurate. I feel like when people are in the hospitals, they put their whole, I feel like they put their families' lives pretty much in the hands of the hospital and people that they don't know. And I feel like just doing that, it makes you vulnerable, and it makes you feel like, okay, they don't even know my mom, they don't know nothing about her, but yeah, I'm putting her in the hands of somebody who I don't know, and I feel vulnerable about it. And so I feel like with that, it comes back to me, as I feel I feel with Bree saying this, it makes you more aware of certain things, like when you have other people's lives in somebody else's hands and you have no control over it. And so let me see the next passage that I have. Let's go here. It says, "I can't imagine," Charlotte murmurs, "and that's another square covered on the bingo board. They can imagine it, they just wouldn't want to. Some truths only tragedy can teach. The first one I learned is that when people acknowledge your pain, they want your pain to acknowledge them back. They need to witness it in real time, or else you're not doing your part." And I feel like that is also accurate as well. Like, I'm going to keep going on because these are some great ones that I liked throughout the beginning of the book. Another one says, "I listened to the stories from uncles, cousins, hell, my own father, about police run-ins and stops. I see the videos online. Sitting in this car and thinking about those images makes my heart pound. I don't know if there's a single black person in this country who can say with 100% confidence that they feel safe with the police. Not after the past few years. Probably not ever. Maybe there are some somewhere, but I sure as hell don't know them." And so I feel like that passage alone is definitely relevant today with the Black Lives Matter movement, of police brutality and what have you, and the killing of innocent black men and women around, throughout this America, this country. And so I feel like this is also acknowledging that as well, which is just, it's something that has to constantly be acknowledged in order for people to listen, in order for people to finally be aware and acknowledge that this is what's happening. So you don't have a blind eye. You can't ignore this. You really can't. It's blatantly in front of you. So I thought I loved that passage as well. And then the next one, like I have so many. It says, let me see. I'm trying to be strategic in the ones I think I should share with you. This one says, "No one knows where a gate will appear, but they cluster in some places more than others. Almost always at night. Most of the Shadowborn that cross are invisible and incorporeal. They come to our side to feed on and amplify negative human energy, chaos, fear, anger. Those emotions sustain them. If they get strong enough to use ether, they'll use it to go corporeal, and then they can attack us physically too. We don't hunt the demons just to hunt them. We don't do it because we like it. No matter what other chapters say, we do it to protect humanity." And I feel like especially during this time and day, like this time and age, where you have like the Vatican and stuff like that. I feel like there are societies in this world that do this type of stuff, like demons and what have you. Like if you think about Van Helsing, like, you know, Mr. Van Helsing and all those amazing, you know, those people and stories and folklore and all that of protecting humanity. So I feel like that's something, you know, that is acknowledged as well, which is, you know, a real thing. And then you have people who are pretty much demons are inside them, and you have people, the Vatican and everybody, priest, you know, pretty much trying to lift that demon outside of a human being. That's real. I know some people don't think it's real. You know, there's a lot of controversial things about it, but I think this book acknowledges a lot of things. In this one, it gives you more of acknowledgement of certain things, like Merlins are the order sorcerers. Their affinity for ether is so strong, they're essentially super soldiers, trained from birth, assigned to posts and sent on missions to hunt rogue Shadowborn, keep once born populations safe, close gates. My breath catches, a mission. They never let us see her body. Could she have been attacked by a demon? Nick doesn't look convinced. A Merlin can detect a demon miles away, and even then, most are incorporeal essels. Visible to someone with a sight, but not strong enough to cause physical harm. Once born deaths are extremely rare because they're exactly what Merlins are trained to prevent. That and securing the code. If once borns ever knew the truth, there'd be mass fear, chaos. Two things Shadowborn thrive on. And I feel like throughout this book, as I'm reading these passages to you, Bree is becoming more aware of her surroundings and the world that she is in. And I think she's really starting to get into, especially from the first passage that I gave you, how she was just pretty much numb. She didn't cry or anything like that. And now as months later on, without her mom in her life, she's starting to realize certain things and trying to see a light in things, and trying to realize, like, this doesn't make sense. What the people said the hospital doesn't add up. The story just it does not make sense at all. And so I feel like as she's progressing in this book, you notice that she's become more aware and try to acknowledge certain things that are pretty much coming to her. And this pretty much goes to mythology, which I love mythology as well. This one says, there are 5 known secret orders associated with the university, all organized around a central theme: the Gorgons, the Golden Fleece, the Stygians, the Valkyries, and the Round Table. The first 3 use stories from Greek mythology, the Valkyries from Norse. The Order of the Round Table is the only society to draw their name from a legend, King Arthur. So just with that alone, this is also like a Arthurian type of retelling of King Arthur and Pendragon and all that, what have you. And so I also like that too. I like Arthur. I'm not into the Guinevere thing, but I do like it. And then also we have this passage, which I feel like is crazy because, okay, let me just say this. Bree is at UNC and there's not a lot of diversity. And so this acknowledges diversity and how that's an issue, especially in this day and age. And it has always been that way, especially for me. I went to a mostly predominantly white school called Capital University in Columbus, Ohio, or technically Bexley, Ohio. And it was really strange. There was like no diversity, even in since I majored in history and everything like that, and my minor was public preservation and everything like that, I was pretty much the only black girl in the class, and there was no diversity at all, and it was just crazy. And so this acknowledges this. It says, it's most diverse page class ever, and as if that's why Nick chose me. Norris, McKinnon, Tor, 3 comments, 3 assumptions, 3 people who've singled me out because of how I look and what they've decided I represent in 48 hours. I close my eyes against a rush of emotions, anger, hot and burning against my cheeks, disgust at the self-congratulatory expression on her face, then the deep fatigue my father calls death by 1,000 cuts. How many cuts am I going to have to endure? So literally being just the only black person, or when people acknowledge diversity, it definitely gives you there's a lot of cuts, especially for people of color and everything like that. So this quote, I feel like this definitely it catches me. It how can I say this? It acknowledges a lot of things. Like like I've said throughout this video, there's so much acknowledgement within this book, just especially about diversity, people singling you out. I'm like, oh, this class is very diverse. just because there's a Black person or a person of color in the group. So I feel like, you know, this is definitely something that shines light on things. And then let me see. I'm trying to be, like I said, strategic in some of the quotes that I liked. And then it brings up a lot of things, like in this book, it brings about Harry Potter and all like that. And it even talks about pretty much stuff within the Bible itself. It says, as the Gospel of Luke instructs, let us celebrate and be glad of Nicholas's return, for he was lost and is found. So there's a lot of things. It's mythology, biblical stories, Arthur Pendragon and folklore and all that good things. So Greek gods, what have you. So I definitely think this is definitely really good. Let me see. There's so many that I like. Okay, so it even goes deeper into like vassals, which once you read this, you'll get it. It says, our vassal friends and their contemporary fiefdoms are the order's lower limbs. Without them, we would not have walked through 15 centuries of this war, would not have advanced from the Middle Ages to modernity. Pages are the left hand. Once oath, you will be granted sight in order to hold the shield while we fight in the shadows. Merlins are the right hand, the sword and fist of the order, our guardians and weapons against the darkness. The Legendborn scions and squires are the heart. The holy text of their lines has fueled our mission from the beginning. The regents are the spine, directing our eyes and energies to the urgent matters at hand. Davis pauses, letting the last image of his metaphor settle in our minds. And when he is awakened, our king is the head and the crown itself, leading us to victory by divine right. So if you think about even in passages in the Bible, it says the head and the tail and all that. So this definitely pretty much has me thinking of that verse. I can't remember in the top of my head, but it definitely makes me think about it a lot. And then let me do a couple more. I'm trying to think. I don't want to do so many, but I think these are just things that are key points in the book that people should look at, and things that I think are pretty nice to acknowledge on certain things. I'm not going to do this one. I'm not trying to do a lot of spoilery type of things. I'm not telling you the page number or anything like that, but I just wanted to pretty much state things. And it even brings up different cultures and histories and stuff like that. Like it says, the line is law. William translates. The order and vassal colonizers were a blended bunch. Welsh, English, Scotch, Irish, Germans, but 6th century Wales is Arthur's birthplace, so Welsh was the order's first language. Some of the old incantations are still in Welsh, like the swins I use in the infirmary. So it brings about a lot of cultures as well. I love this book so much because it just brings all these cultures in it that even for myself, I have English, I did Ancestry, and I have English, I have Irish, pretty much in my family, in Ireland, everything Ireland, Irish, you get it. So it acknowledges different cultures as well, which is great. And let me see, I want to do maybe one more, possibly just to give you something. Like, I did a lot of passages and I just couldn't pick the ones I like the most because they were all really well. Let me see. It says, okay, I like this one. This one says, when our knights awaken, their spirits lives again. This is why we call those outside the lines Unage, once born, and why we call ourselves Chaldwdig, Legendborn. To be able to trace one's family back that far is something I have never fathomed. My family only knows back to the generation after emancipation. Suddenly, it's hard to stand here and take in the magnificence of the wall and not feel an undeniable sense of ignorance and inadequacy. Then a rush of frustration because someone probably wanted to, but who could have written down my family's history as far back as this? Who would have been able to, been taught to, been allowed to? Where is our wall? A wall that doesn't make me feel lost but found. A wall that towers over anyone who lays eyes on it. Instead of awe, I feel cheated. And pretty much what Bree is acknowledging is that there's a lot of history, especially for the Black community. Our history is lost. A lot of especially white families have a whole wall or history that they can acknowledge and that they know of, whereas for especially my family, we don't know our history because it was because there's nothing else. Everything, it was erased. It wasn't acknowledged. Nothing, there was no record of it because, you know, they didn't want to have us know our history and our heritage or anything like that. And I feel like with Bree, yes, she does feel cheated. And, you know, for me, I feel cheated as well. I should be able to know my history and be able to track down my ancestors, but I can't do that. And so for us, it's tons of research that we have to do, especially in the Black community. And it's just really frustrating how we have to do that, especially when you see all these families who can go way back into the centuries and everything, what their family was and their heritage and where their name came from and where they were from. Where for us, for the Black community, there's tons of research that we have to do. Tons of research. And I like ancestry, but I want to go deeper into it, especially knowing more about the tribe I came from. You know, if I was part of a tribe, anything like that, you know, or who was in my family, you know. So I'm going to end with this passage, because I think this was definitely one that definitely touched me the most, or one of them, definitely the most powerful ones that I wanted to acknowledge and share with you. But overall, with my reflections of this book, I find it very fascinating. I loved it. It was fast paced. It kept me wanting to know more. Bree is an amazing character. You have also Sel as a character. You have Nick. So I definitely don't want to spoil this for you, but this book is amazing. I loved it so much. It made me think of my history, my own history, my own experiences especially as a Black person in this day and age, and especially in this environment and everything like that. And I definitely recommend this book to everyone because this book is amazing. It will not disappoint you, that I promise you. And like I said, it's Arthurian, a book as well, but it also acknowledges, like I said, many cultures, and it also acknowledges what's happening in today's society about police brutality and everything like that, and everything like that, and it acknowledges, or at least it signifies, that Black lives do matter, people of color do matter. So it's just, you know, I think this is a powerful book, and Tracy did an amazing job with this book, and I love Bree very, very much. But yes, that is it, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed my little stop here for the Legendborn book tour. But thank you so much for watching. See ya.